El sheriff Joe Arpaio lleva más de 25 años en una lucha en contra de la inmigración indocumentada a Estados Unidos. Muchos le han llamado a esta lucha discriminatoria, inclusive racista. Le preguntaremos hoy al sheriff cómo es posible que usted llevara por las calles de Maricopa County a los migrantes con calzoncillos de color de rosa y encadenados. Bienvenidos a Contra Reloj.
Joseph Michael Arpaio, 14 de junio de 1932, Springfield, Massachusetts, Estados Unidos. Es un antiguo agente de policía estadounidense. Fue elegido sheriff del condado de Maricopa, Arizona, desde 1992 hasta 2016. Arpaio solía identificarse como el sheriff más implacable de Estados Unidos, adoptando a partir de 2005 una postura muy pública en contra de la inmigración irregular. En 2010, se le puso de ejemplo por los grupos opuestos a la ley anti-inmigración SB 1070 en Arizona, derogada por el Tribunal Supremo de los Estados Unidos de las posibles consecuencias de dicha ley. A Arpaio también se le conoce por contribuir a la investigación del certificado de nacimiento del presidente Barack Obama y por su insistencia, aún vigente, en que ese documento fue falsificado. A lo largo de su carrera, Arpaio ha sido denunciado en múltiples ocasiones por violaciones de las leyes de derechos civiles, un crimen por el que fue oficialmente indultado por el presidente Donald Trump el 25 de agosto de 2017. A pesar de tener un gran número de vocales que lo apoyan por su implacabilidad con el crimen y los criminales, sus prácticas han sido severamente criticadas por organizaciones tales como Amnistía Internacional.
Okay. Well, thank you for being on Contra Reloj, Sheriff Joe Arpaio. For our first question, if you would please tell us, who is Joe Arpaio today, at this moment in your life?
Well, we need about 20 hours. Joined the Army when the Korean War broke out. Cop in D.C., Metropolitan. Cop in Vegas, locked up Elvis. Federal narcotic agent, 28 years, working all over the world. And then sheriff for 24 years, the longest in the history of Maricopa County.
Today, you are retired, but who are you? That was your resume, but who is Joe Arpaio?
Well, some people say you're our hero. I can go on and on about that. I got
Are you
big
your
support.
own hero?
No, my own hero is Donald Trump. When NBC filmed me last year, they said, "Is John McCain your hero?" And 4 months prior, I woke up, and I was about 84 years old, and I told my wife, I finally found my hero. Who's that? Donald Trump. So I don't have heroes. I got one. Everybody can have heroes. So I don't back down. If people don't like it, that's tough. So that's my hero. And when they call me a hero or whatever, I say three things. I'm not special. In fact, I don't have a degree. I've been to college. So I don't have all these criminal justice, diplomas. I'm not bad-mouthing it.
Some have said, some have called you a racist. Is that true?
My mother and father came from Italy, legally. I love the foreign people, loved foreign people. I'm even worried about asking you where you're from. But I ask everybody where they're from. It's at Chicago because I've been everywhere. I like to talk to them. I work Mexico City. I know the area, South America. Work with Noriega, in Mexico City. I love that. So you know what? I don't care what they call me. I have a black grandkid. I have a Mexican grandkid. I don't put that up. I put it out now because my wife passed away.
And my condolences,
and
by the way.
And
I was
63
going to tell you
years.
that during the program, yes.
And I'm only as good as my wife, too. 63 years, Turkey, Mexico. She used to deal with the Attorney General. My wife was pretty good diplomat in her nice way. So they can call me whatever they want.
Tell us a little bit about being the most, I think someone said the most relentless, and then used other words, sheriff in the United States.
Well, they call me America's toughest sheriff, way back. The media and everything. I don't mind. Don't call me the meanest sheriff. And they never have done that, believe it or not. It's toughest sheriff. But relentless, that's a compliment. I'm very proactive. Yeah. I go above the normal. In my whole life, I've always been successful in my whole life. I don't go out drinking coffee with the boss to get a promotion. I earn everything I've had, I earned it, and I'm proud of that.
You say, you use the word that you weren't mean, but some would say that the pink underwear was mean. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I ran the jails too. 8,000 people a day average. 2.4 million have come through the jails since I've been sheriff. I put up Korean War tents, I promise that. I'm very famous or infamous on the tent city. And I shut everybody up. When I say they're all convicted, they're doing their time in tents, and our men and women are fighting for our country, living in tents, what do they complain about these guys? And by the way, I did the chain gangs and the first female chain gang in history. I still have the record for that. I put juveniles in a chain gang, hooked together, black and white stripes. I don't put them chopping rocks. I put them on the main streets. They even bury the dead bodies. You know why I do that? And they buy into it. They all volunteer, by the way. You know why? Because when the kids, when their parents driving by, see, honey, you see that chain gang? Don't you ever violate the law.
Why is it wrong to be concerned about the rights of immigrants? Shouldn't we be concerned about the rights of everyone?
I said illegal immigrants. There's a big difference. I love the immigrants. And even people that come in from Mexico, not U.S. citizens. I hired 150 on the green card, in uniform, then they become citizens. 150. Now, why do I do that? Because I'll tell you what, if I need a translator, whether it's Russia, Mexico, I have it already. They're working for me. So I give them a break, I hire them. So I don't know where people get all these false, innuendo.
There are those who insist that he sees all Hispanics as being as people who are undocumented, as criminals. What do you answer these people?
Because they are criminals.
All Hispanics?
No, you said undocumented.
Okay.
If they are undocumented, they're here illegally.
According to most of us, and I include myself,
right.
There's no one who's illegal in this world. God put us all here on this world, and we're not here illegally in this world. It may be that the person doesn't have a document to be in the United States, but he's not. It doesn't even work grammatically that a person could be illegal. What do you respond?
Well, then change the dictionary, change the law, and don't call them illegal. Now it's undocumented. Okay, I don't know what the next step will be, what's going on at that border. I guess they're all legally here. When you got thousands and thousands crossing the border, okay, they're not here illegally. Let everybody come across the border. So we should not get into semantics. That's a public relation media concept, and even some people believe that. So change the law. Hey, 20 years, Congress, they go to the border. Anybody running for office now, you're going to see them at the border. Hope they, build up the economy at the restaurant. They stand before the chicken fence and they all say, I will stop this illegal immigration. So what's
Did you
going
agree
on?
with Reagan's amnesty?
Yeah, that worked, but then actually that started years ago. And I think 3,000 and so on. So if you do it legally, I have nothing.
So you like Biden's immigration reform for 11 million?
I do not like Biden's policies.
Why?
Well, first of all, when he and I mentioned Biden when I testified in 1983, and I met him in when they just took office, the Obama administration. So, no, I don't like it. We're being flooded. I sent a position paper out when they took office. They had the swine flu. Everybody tried to destroy me when I reported what I was doing. I was checking the Hispanics from Mexico because I had them in the tents, and this swine flu emanated from Mexico area, a lot of it. I just wanted to see how many inmates that had in the jail came from Mexico. And I found out a large group of them came from south of Mexico City. I wanted to know if they had disease when they came over here. They went after me. I was a target. 100 days I was Obama Biden's target. And I got blasted because I asked, and I said all along, we do not need people coming into our country with any disease. So I got now today, it's out there again.
Let me take you back to your comment that you already started a couple of minutes ago, but you're quoted as saying that the U.S. military in Iraq worked under hotter temperatures than the jails where the undocumented were placed, or that you placed. Comment on some more.
Let's not get technical about the heat, because it's hot here in, Phoenix. It's hot in the Middle East, but our troops are there fighting for our country. The inmates violated the law. And by the way, everyone in the tents had been found guilty, waiting to go to prison, or they're not innocent, if you want to say that. They have been found guilty. So I don't know what's wrong. Now the heat, okay, I'll tell you one thing. I learned a little trick to prove my point, because I always said it's like 120 degrees in the tents. So the media would come in. They never argument. They love it when I say it's a great press, but they blast me. So, you take a thermometer. I started to take thermometers for credibility, and I show the media, see this? Of course, the higher you go on the canvas, you pick up a few extra points. So I may say it's 118 when it's 150. I'm proving a point. If our men and women can fight for our country, don't go around complaining about convicted inmates. So that's my answer. I have an answer for everything.
Can I get just a little personal here? Did you have nightmares of being in jail before Trump absolved you, gave the amnesty for you?
Nightmares?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I don't sleep, so I can't have nightmares because I'm always making up my plans when I'm in bed.
But could you see yourself possibly
come on.
in those types of jails where you say you detained over 200,000? I think that was the number you used.
Let me tell you, I slept twice in the tents anyway. I volunteered. Who will go sleep with the inmates? I've done it twice. Of course, the top bunk, they had bad words for me. I can look up. I did it. Think
Did you eat the food?
Of course.
From what I understand, it costs less than 40 cents
50
a meal.
No, it's 50 cents.
50 cents.
Yeah.
Did you eat that food?
Of course I did. I don't do nothing unless I do it too. That's the type of guy I am. I didn't like garbage. I took away all their meat. I put them on vegetarian and 2 meals a day. But that's all right. You get your 200 calories.
And since there was a possibility that you could have gone to jail,
I'm not worried about it. It was federal. I wouldn't go to my jail. The biased federal judge.
So those would have been much better jails
than
the ones you had here in the tents.
Of course. They had a riot when I took over as sheriff. I went to the federal jail. The warden said, "You have no authority." I said, "Don't tell me that jail happens to be on my county land." And I saw the riots, but I had a chance to eat the food. It was great. They played basketball. I'm Italian. They played bocce. What is this? Biggest country club I ever. So you don't think I could do my time, which the most you could get is 6 months. It's a contempt of court. That's it. Like a dog bite. Same type of sentence. They got me. George Soros and Obama administration went after me big time. They said they're going to put me in prison the day before election. People voting. George Soros pumped in $3 million against me. You could have won, sheriff. They just didn't want me. They threw everything after me. Badge of honor. So you really think I worry if I got 3 days? I would have. The judge, smart. She said sentencing will be on a Friday afternoon. So I'd be put in cuffs, should get all the publicity, transported to the federal prison, which is up the street, and then might be difficult getting out on bond. So I would get out on Monday, and she would say, "Okay, you served 3 days, that's it. You're on probation to talk to people." But Trump screwed that up. I didn't ask him for the pardon. He pardoned me even before I was sentenced. I don't even think I was convicted. I appealed that to the higher courts. Nobody seems to know the answer. I don't even know if I have a record. She didn't call me before her to sentence me. Very interesting. I had a 10-day trial. I spent all these years in law enforcement. I think I got 2 tickets that I caught, parking tickets. And I have to sit with my work for this country, my sacrifices, at a defense table, which I had to pay. Fortunately, I raised the $2 million. Who in history has paid $2 million on a little Mickey Mouse misdemeanor, especially a contempt of court? So he came along. He pardoned me. I was his first pardon. We have a great relationship. He knew I got messed up. So I don't know. I don't even know if I have a record.
This program is called Contra Reloj, and we're supposed to limit you to 1 minute or 2 minutes on the answers. Well, and on all of them, you have been within the time limit, except this last one. And I didn't describe, you're the one who described how you have a limitless story to tell. How about if I give you 10 yes and no questions?
Okay.
For example, number 1, would you live in Mexico? Yes or no?
Yes.
Number 2, what do you think of the new census in which 61 million, there are now over 61 million Hispanics in the state? Is that good or bad? Is that a good thing? So you can do yes or no.
Yes or no.
Is it a good thing? It's a good thing. Yeah. Number 3, during the Super Bowl, do you eat guacamole?
No.
Number 4, do you have a favorite Mexican song?
When they sing it in Spanish, which is my way.
Number 5, if you had the authority, would you finish the U.S.-Mexico wall? The wall between the U.S.
Yes.
6, you are famous for being controversial in your detention of immigrants. Would you want at this period in your life to change that view of people regarding you? Yes or no? Are most undocumented bad people?
No.
8, would you let your kids marry Mexicans? And I think you have a lot to tell us about that.
Yes.
Number 9, did you like John McCain and his push for immigration reform?
Sometimes.
Are you a good person?
Yes.
You mentioned a few minutes ago that you don't have a BA. Should sheriffs have at least a BA education?
Sheriffs are elected. Keep it that way, and let it be where anybody can run for sheriff, whether they have a doctorate degree or a high school. So I'm not high on that, because a lot of people get these degrees, but they don't have common sense. You can have all the degrees you want. I'm talking about law enforcement. I like people that came up through the ranks and hit the streets and knew what the life was really about.
Back to a tent city jail. You, I believe, said that these were like concentration camps. How do you justify that?
Because I happened to have a speech and someone asked something about the tents. I said, yeah, the concentration camps, is that what you're talking about? So I put that word out one time. But hey, so what? Call it whatever you want. That keeps people from coming into the jail, violating the law. That's okay.
We're talking about, and correct me, but of putting these inmates, these undocumented people what is it, in pink underwear?
Yeah.
Bringing down the streets, chains.
Sure.
How do you deal with that within yourself?
Because I did the right thing. I had a method to do that. It wasn't to be mean. It was to send a message to the inmates. Don't come back. Or send a message around the country. If you come into Maricopa County, you don't commit a crime. And I know that's been so the whole thing is trying to make it a deterrence, try to make it tough, keep people out of jail, or when they're in, don't come back.
And even though for some of us, we look at it just as an administrative, a lack of having a permit, and the United States has continually, those who are able to come here after a certain amount of years, whether documented or documented, are able then, as Reagan had the amnesty and possibly Biden, they're able to become U.S. citizens and do great things for this nation, but you see them as, with the big C, criminals.
No, and I'm not going to, it's your show, so I'm not going to ask you.
It's your show.
No, but I don't ask you, it's your show. So it's not a question to you, but I will make a comment. I had 2.2 million people that came through the jails. You think they were all from Mexico? I had them from everywhere. Most of them were not foreigners. So why do we always talk about foreigners being in my jail or minorities? What about everybody else? Nobody talks about them. So if you don't like my food, say it for everybody doesn't like my food. Number 2, makes me very concerned because I hear about separation families. It's always, you're taking the kid, I'm talking about Hispanics, you divide the family, you take away their kids. What about all the arrests that I made and everybody makes every day when you go in a house and you see the mother and father dragged out, mainly selling drugs, and the baby is crying? What about separating those? Why is it always the minorities we talk about? You'd be talking about anybody, but we're always zeroing in on the minority. What about everybody else out there? Treat them the same way. Throw them all in together. Don't separate it.
To jail.
No, I'm talking about the media, the talks. the philosophy. Say it's not good for everybody. Quit talking about blacks or minorities.
Do you agree with DACA?
I don't agree in a sense. I have my solution, but nobody will call me crazy.
What do we do with those DACA children?
Well, I'll tell you what you do. Send them back where they came from. Let's take Mexico.
They don't even speak Spanish anymore. They're Americans. They grew up here.
The big picture. Send them back like the Peace Corps, Kennedy, going all over the mountains, being an ambassador for our country. Okay? Send them back for 6 months. Let them see the country they were born at. Actually, they're getting a free tourist trip. And then let them come back as citizens. But they're going to have to pay a little dues.
But these are good kids.
Well,
they're enriching this nation.
So why don't they go
why
to...
should they be punished? Their
Is
parents
that being,
brought them up here.
wait a minute, sending them to Mexico being punished?
This is, in all respects, their country. United States.
Well, then change the law. Period. Change. What are you asking me? Change the law. How come the laws aren't changed? They keep screwing around. 20 years they've been talking about, and no one changes the law. So blame the Congress. Blame the politics.
Not Arpaio.
Well, you can blame me on what I've done, but I can't change the law. I don't have the authority to change the law.
Well, Mr. Arpaio, I think that you and I have proven that two people that might disagree almost totally are able to sit down and discuss and work for making life better for all people. In different ways, you in your way and I in mine, and we will continue disagreeing and trying to convince each other, I'm sure. But thank you so much for sitting.
I don't want to have a love affair with all the media, but I think the reporters, I treat them pretty nice.
Well, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.